Hey, what's up YouTube, Scabadger here, and I'm back with a quick video on morale. So I was given a lot of gold by Bytro and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I figured a good place to start would be to run some tests. So I ran some tests on morale and how it affects production by reducing this, what was a 100% max resource producing province, all the way down to 0%. So at the start of yesterday it was 100%. And as we can see, it does have level 3 infrastructure, level 3 naval bases, and level 5 industrial complexes, and we reduced it to 0% morale. I did this in increments of 10, and I recorded how production in terms of money and goods dropped along the way. Now, one thing you noticed is manpower is not affected by morale, so I didn't see any change in that. So this video here is about me trying to get across to as many of you as possible how important morale is. You know, good reasons not to go to war with 5 players at once, or to move your capital away from your core, or to not build forts, or to do other stupid things. So this is all about making sure you guys understand that having a high morale is as important to a high production as is building level 3 infrastructure, level 3 naval bases, and level 5 industrial complexes. Because what I have found is morale has a bigger effect than these combined, especially once these are in play. So let's go over to the spreadsheet and have a look at what I found. So this is what I found. Dead center in the screen is a graph that you guys can have a look at it for those of you that want, a visual representation of what I have found. But basically, what I want to get across to you is for every 10% your morale drops, your production will drop by 7.5%. And that is a lot right there. In the case of the goods producing province, Alexandria, we can see that at the start of the day, with 100% morale, it was producing 7,445 goods per day. Money's underneath it if you want to have a look. But by the time we get to 0% morale, even with the level 3 port, level 3 infrastructure, level 5 industrial complex, it was only producing 1,775. And that is a massive difference. That is a drop of 6,000 goods per day. And that makes a massive difference to your ability to fight wars, produce armies, and be effective in the game in general. So like I said before, for every 10% your morale drops, you lose 7% of your resource production. So to help you understand that, I thought I'd give you some examples of how this applies. If you go to war with 5 players, for example, your production rate across everything will drop by 20% over time. It won't drop immediately, but over a couple of days you'll find your production will be 20% less than what it was before. Now if you then go and build level 5 forts, your production will increase by 20%. And that is a massive difference right there. So if we have a look, if you were to go to war with 5 players, your morale would be sitting roughly around in between here. Now if you then went and built level 5 forts and increase your morale again, you'd go from having a production between here in that resource producing province back up to max. So it is important that you keep a high level of morale, because every single thing you do to lower your morale damages your production. And a good production is crucial to building a stronger army, building more upgrades to increase your production, and to ultimately win the game. If you have a low level of morale, you are producing and being very ineffective with your production and what you're currently spending. I went and took away the effects of the industrial complex ports and infrastructure and found that without it, this province would only be producing 621 goods at 0%. So although it makes a difference, and it makes a massive difference, doubling the effect of this resource producing province, we can see that even without it, having a high morale is more important, to the point where having a high morale can make your production almost 6 times higher than what it is. And that is a massive difference. So between morale and building upgrades, you can make a very strong economy. But if you don't do one, and only do one side, you're not managing it very well. So you can get 130% bonus on top of your morale to your production, but if your morale's crap, it's not going to make much of a difference. So put your morale first, and turn on that morale map, and really try and make the most of your economy. For those of you that are interested, just down here I have got a few of the numbers. So as we can see here, at 100%, we're obviously producing at a maximum rate, so 100%. At 90%, we're only producing at 92% of our maximum rate possible, all the way till we get down to 0, and then our economy is only producing at 23% of its maximum capacity. Now, I know for a fact that that situation is going to be pretty rare. You're not going to find yourself in a situation where you are only producing, that much, because to have a whole country at only 0% morale, holding that, I'll give you thumbs up if you can hold a province at, or a whole country at 0% morale. But that is the extremes right there. You're more likely to find yourself sitting around here, and if you are at 50 to 40%, your provinces may not be rebelling, but you'll find that you're only producing half as much of your resources as possible, and that is a massive disadvantage right there, if you are only producing at half of your possible rate. And we notice that when we start a game, all of our provinces start around 70% morale, and even then, we're only producing 77% of what we could. So it's important that even from the start of the game, you don't go to war with 5 other players, you don't go and move your capital, you don't go and bomb, or well, you can't really nuke yourself at the start of the game, but you get the message. Keep morale high and focus on morale from the start, and make sure your people are happy, and then you will be rich. You'll produce the maximum amount of resources possible. So I hope this video has given you something to think about in terms of morale, because I always get this question all the time: how do I increase production? And hopefully this gives you the answer right here. High morale is the best way to go. So thank you for watching.